about the end result. If you had gone to trial to put your entire case in front of the jury to find out whether you're guilty or innocent, and you hear that judge make the statement to all that are listening, not guilty. And then you realize in the back of your head that all of the feelings that have been in your gut, in your stomach, pounding in your heart, for the months upon months to maybe even years upon years that you sat awaiting for yourself to be vindicated at trial and found not guilty because they didn't have enough evidence to get 12 jurors to find you guilty. But because everything boiled up within you, you knew what your fate was. You knew those not guilty words, when that gavel hit that table, you were to begin your sentence of life without parole. Innocent with a sentence of life without parole. I'm A.R. Hayes. I'm an ex-con. We're going to work our way into helping you feel within you what an actual step-by-step walkthrough until that jury makes its decision of how you're already found guilty with the key thrown away before you even get your chance to go to trial? Is that how the American way is? Is that how this is all supposed to work? That guilty men and guilty women, at the end of the day, are sentenced equally to innocent men and women? Let's talk about it. Let's go there, because it's not a good thought, right? We are the land of the free. We have a justice system in place that's here to defend you and I and all of our rights. We have law enforcement in place to ensure that laws are abided by and people are protected from those who decide to not abide by the law. We have courts that are in place to allow fair trials to happen to find whether those that have either committed or not committed the crimes get a fair shot in front of a jury of their peers, 12 people, to hear all the evidence and make a decision on guilt or innocence. And at that point, if it's a guilty verdict, that court and that judge has to put its mind in the right place and determine the proper punishment for the said crimes they're committed. But a lot of people don't flip that switch and get the gut feeling of how it actually feels to be going through this so-called process that meets the guidelines of all fairness for citizens of the United States to be able to be tried as a fair trial. But to know very early on, you'll never, ever live free again in your life, no matter what the outcome of that said trial is. We're going to project our thoughts on a situation that Brian Kohberger finds himself sitting in this very day in Latah County, Moscow, Idaho jail over a quadruple homicide that at the end result End result, if found guilty, would be a death penalty capital murder case. But I can tell you right now, before this trial's even started, the best he can get is a lost life. Everything he has at this very point worked so hard for in life. I mean, this is a young man that was actually going through a PhD program in hopes of defending the constitutional rights and the laws of the United States within the criminal system, helping law enforcement, no matter which field that he actually was capable of getting employment in. He wanted to help our communities. And the best that he's ever going to have in life at this very moment is no life. None. He cannot come back to a normal life ever again after this. The best that he could do, and I'm going to just state it right now, if he gets found not guilty of this crime, the best he could ever do is win a substantial amount of money in a lawsuit and disappear. Disappear. Why? Because all those that have been found guilty right now in their minds will never, ever let that guilty verdict in their hearts and their minds go. He will never be able to leave his home without people looking at him as a guilty, murderous man. From the minute that he was arrested and he was placed into that little concrete cell, he knew that his life was changed forever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at that point whether you're guilty or not in the actual court, because people have already found you guilty. We watched it immediately. Mainstream media attacked. Boom, and everything started coming out to why this guy was guilty. I get it. So many people, when the PCA was released and little details and fragments here and there through mainstream media, start picking about how this guy was guilty without ever just allowing it to build to an actual case. And then there's people like myself. At first, I started with the mindset that I just wanted to watch and ensure that everything was followed within the justice system to ensure that they had the right man, they put on the right prosecution, and boom, they got the end result of a guilty verdict, giving the justice to the families and the lost souls that they deserved. But I knew right off the bat, just in my own eyes, and being someone that's been through this, I could see the unraveling right from the beginning. And then I watched the complexity of everything on the prosecution side become sealed. And then I watched the evidence not being turned over. And then the defense having to fight for it. And then all these issues with the DNA IgG sealed, not wanting to turn it over. Don't have our cliff notes. We threw things away. We don't have the body cam. We don't have... Okay, prosecution, pump the brakes. You're ready to take this to trial. But you've already done this within the actual glowing eye of the entire nation through mainstream media and emotional grab to find this gentleman guilty. So now your job is easy. And I'm going to explain exactly why. When Brian Kohberger originally entered the courtroom for his arraignment, he had confidence. I know, and I'm talking from personal experience. That's how I'm going to draw you into this. I'm going to bring you in to let you know how the process actually breaks someone down to where it doesn't matter anymore whether you're innocent or guilty. Yes, at the end of the day, you want to be found not guilty because you want to be able to walk out of there and not give the rest of your life or your actual life to the system. But at the end of the day, you're already deflated. You already know. You already know what the end result is. So's your family. So are your family friends. You know that the minute that you've sat in that little itty bitty 6x8 concrete box with bars on it, with other people feed you when they choose to feed you. They give you your medication when they decide to give you your medication. You only get to shower when they decide you could shower. They even control which TV stations you watch and when you get to come out of your cell and get your 1 hour time out. You have no say in any of that. If they want to serve you food at 4 a.m., you're going to eat at 4 a.m. If you want to eat at 4 a.m. and they choose 8 a.m., well, it's on their time, not yours. You have no more say in your life. And you begin to realize this just weeks into the process. So if you want to get a feel for how this feels and actually best understand it, do me a favor. Don't sit comfortably on your couch and just watch and listen to me as I speak. Let's get the actual feel of it. Come on in to where the real world of what this feels like actually is. I want you to go to your bathroom, close yourself into your bathroom, and sit on the floor. Lay your head down next to your toilet, because that's where every night when you go to bed, that's where your head lays, next to your toilet. Don't get much padding. I mean, just lay down something like a mattress cover, because that's what you're going to actually get to sleep on when you go to bed at night. And get yourself one sheet. No pillows. Find a way to get yourself comfortable for a moment while we discuss this. So just curl up, get comfy on your bathroom floor, but make sure you turn down the dial of your air in your home to make sure that it's about 60 degrees constantly. And have that blowing right on you. Got to make sure you're cold, because the best way that a jail makes it is actually cold, so that you have less chances of getting sick, they say. But don't worry. You're only going to be here for a few years. Okay? A few years. And when you come out of there to go to your rec, just make sure you only walk into your living room. Nowhere else. That's the amount of space that your rec time is going to be in. So I only want you for the next year or two. But, of course, we're just going to do this for a short period of time. So, bathroom to living room for the next year or two, and every once in a while make sure you get shackled up and taken into a courtroom where you actually have the hopes that everything's going to go fairly and you're going to get your shot in front of that jury for them to hear your side of the story and hear the real and true evidence in full, so that your story just might be able to prove your innocence. Your lawyers at first are telling you how well everything's going and how much they have your back. They're going over the details of the case with you and what they plan on attacking and why and how. And by about the third or fourth hearing, they're just not talking to you much anymore. So now you get more time sitting in that little bathroom cell thinking about how your family's doing. Is everybody okay? Is everybody healthy? Thinking about that lost career and all that money that you put into that college and how you were fulfilling a PhD program, and that's all gone. It's all gone. But you could sit here, right now, and think about that and just wonder what it could have been. It's an amazing feeling to know that life is over, no matter what happens from this point forward. Everything you worked so hard for, all that you've overcome, it's gone. Doesn't matter. No longer matters. It doesn't matter if you committed the crime by this point or it didn't. It's the same feeling that's running through your body. You're convicted, ladies and gentlemen. Just go through the motions at this point, because now you're starting to realize every time that you actually do go to the courtroom and you get to sit with your attorneys and your counsel and you see your loved ones in the actual crowd and you can, just doesn't feel right. You see everybody staring at you. You see all the cameras pointed at you. The judge speaks as if you're just a number in the system. You're not even a name anymore. They call you out by case number and then just last name. It's not A.R. Hayes anymore. It's just docket number Hayes. And every time you leave that courtroom, you get to go back to that little box and you think about everything that you just heard and seen within the courtroom. And you think about, well, we really went for that dismissal today. We really tried for it, but didn't work. Didn't work. But we're really fighting to get that evidence that we need to put on a great case to defend. Prosecution still doesn't feel like turning that over. I hope I get that soon. I hope my lawyers can get that to the experts, because God, I would really like to actually have a case built to where I can have a chance of winning this. Instead of going to the preliminary hearing where I would know what was stacked against me, we could attack and we could defend me. They got a grand jury indictment. I wasn't even allowed to be there. I didn't even know what the hell happened. It just came out of nowhere. We had a prelim set, but now I'm indicted. Went to a grand jury indictment, and I had no ability to fight it. But that's okay, because I'm still sitting in that little box. Prosecution's ready for trial, they say. They're pushing for a trial date, and I haven't even got all of my discoverable evidence yet. Heck, literally, the judge just decided on the IgG information that he's going to give a little bit of it over. Not all of it, just some. You know, because I should only get parts of the evidence against me in a capital murder case. I shouldn't get the entirety of it. I shouldn't get everything I need to defend myself. I should only get what that man, the judge, thinks I should get. And that's really hard, because it's that man, the judge, that has my whole life in his hands. And he doesn't seem to be hearing any of my arguments or reasoning. He's just going through the motions, setting up the next court date, and then just stating he'll make a ruling at some point in regards to our motions. Could be a month. Could be 3. Could be tomorrow. None of that matters, because guess what? Our life and our everyday doings don't matter anymore. Doesn't matter if you take the next 3 years away from my PhD program, because if I'm found not guilty and I decide to return to... there's no chance. I can't get back in the PhD program anyway. I'm booted out forever. I won't ever even be able to be seen on campus. I'll be lucky if I'm even allowed to eat in a restaurant again. Huh. But that's okay, because the next court date, I'm going to be still solidly energetic, and I'm going to walk in there with confidence, because I truly believe that this system is going to stand up and fight for my... Oh, they declined my motions to get discoverable evidence, and they've sealed everything. Wow, the transparency within our courtrooms is sure doing me the favor of not giving me any opportunity of maybe proving I do have some innocence in this case. But I know all out there are so worried about my alibi and me not jumping up and down on top of the court screaming, I am innocent, I am innocent, I am innocent, to make a fool out of myself before I get shot with the tasers and put back into my cell with nobody hearing a word that I said. The standing silent, not acknowledging the fact that you're actually charging me with these crimes, because I know, in my mind, I'm innocent of these crimes, and I'm not going to accept you telling me otherwise. But everybody else in the world, I'm already guilty. My family's had to go into complete hiding, so they're literally locked in their own cells, all because you found me guilty. So not only is my life over, but if my dad or mother decide to go to the grocery store to get a gallon of milk to eat cereal tomorrow morning, they can't do it. My family has no friends anymore. Even though many support us and love us, nobody can get close enough to us because of everybody that has found the entire family guilty before a trial has even happened. We don't even have a trial date yet. And not only is my life over, but my family's most likely is as well. Could they ever get another job? Like, literally, can they go out in society and get work again? Not for the time being, not for now. That's for definite sure, and maybe not for the rest of their lives either. I know that white car driving on cameras. That's proof enough to take away not only one man's life, but the entire family's. Guilty by association, of course, and that eats at me as I sit in my cell. And while you're sitting on that bathroom floor with your head next to your toilet, just make sure to know you can only eat 1/4 of the normal food you eat on a daily basis, and then just make sure it's exactly opposite of what you normally eat. And don't worry. Don't worry. You'll get your medication once every couple of days to ensure that we at least keep you alive through the process. It doesn't matter if you're healthy, just got to keep you alive. That way, each and every single time you come to court battling for your innocence, you have a little more of a thought in your mind that maybe you should plea bargain. Maybe you should just confess and get this over with. Doesn't matter if you did it or not. You just need this all to be over with. Got to protect your family. Got to protect your loved ones. And for God's sakes, you just got to get through this. Because at the end of the day, as each day moves forward, and you think more and more about it, and it hits you like a brick hitting you right in the chest. Every day you wake up, it hits you like a brick in the chest. And you battle it day in and day out, but again, the next morning, it does it again. And the day after, it does it again. You're guilty. You can't win. You won't win. And I'll tell you, just to wrap all this up, because we've been through 25 minutes of the thought process of how all this guilt is building. We haven't even talked about getting to a trial date yet. But we're already guilty. Feel that. Feel that brick hit your chest while you sit on your bathroom floor with your head next to your toilet. Hungry, cold, worried about your family. it doesn't matter if you get found not guilty. You can never again walk out of this jail into the nice, bright, sunny days and look up and be blessed that you have an opportunity, because nobody is ever going to accept you as innocent, no matter what happens. No matter what happens. You've lost your career, your car's gone, your money's deflated, your family's bankrupt and broke and in hiding. Presumably. Most cases, that's what happens. And you're all alone. You're all alone. And I know that feeling of innocence when you get let out is going to feel so good for 10 minutes before it hits you again. And guess what? You better really protect yourself and duck your head, because it might literally be a brick from somebody that thought you were guilty that just may take you out from behind. And you'll live with that. You'll hold that very close to the vest and knowledgeably know it in your mind at all times. Because, ladies and gentlemen, Brian Kohberger, no matter what happens in the Idaho 4 case, whether charges are dismissed tomorrow, he goes to trial and wins, he gets found not guilty, or he gets found guilty at trial and given the death penalty, it's all the very same ending. It's all the exact same. I don't care what people want to disagree. It's all going to be the same. It's a guilty verdict with no trial. I'm A.R. Hayes. I'm an ex-con. I'm glad that I can walk forward, keep my head held up high, and do all I can to keep people like Brian Kohberger and other people within the system that are not actually found guilty as of yet. I'm not saying he won't be, but what I'm saying is he isn't yet. And I already understand. I get it. And I sure hope our justice system can back up its words. And if they got the proof and they got it, they better bring it. Have a great night, everybody.